Reginald Morman, Reginaldmoorman, the captain of, and the assistant zone commander for Zone 5, which is the downtown precinct. I previously served as the deputy director of the Atlanta Carolinas HIDA.
Which is why he's doing the interview.
Okay, what are we doing today?
Today, we're just talking about the pilot program, the pilot Narcan program that we rolled out in November in Zone 1. We trained over 100 officers on Narcan, and so the officers, each patrol vehicle in Zone 1 is equipped with Narcan, so as they respond to any opiate overdose calls, they're able to assist Grady EMS, Atlanta Fire Rescue, and Atlanta Fire.
Have you had any use of it yet? Have you had to use it?
Not yet. We have not had any use of the drugs yet. Eventually, we're looking to save some lives, but right now we haven't. Basically, we equip our officers with the Narcan because when we have these overdose calls, fire responds, Grady EMS responds, and the officer responds. So previously, the officer would request additional assistance, but now sometimes if the officer gets there first, we want to make sure that they're able to act and assist on the scene.
You said this is a pilot program. Is this just will this be rolled out across the department later on? Yes,
initially we wanted to start it in Zone 1 because most of the opiate overdoses and the deployments of Narcan and some of the overdose deaths have occurred in that particular zone. So what we want to do is, the thinking is that those officers would encounter it before some of the officers in the other zones. So we wanted to start it in Zone 1, get those officers trained up. We've trained over 100 officers, and then we can eventually train other officers throughout the department.
Does it make you feel better having that with you as an officer? You think it makes them feel better? They can do something if they have to?
I think so. I think we're all public servants, and what we're here for is to basically to protect the public. And so when we're out there and we respond to these calls for assistance, you always want to be able to help out. You always want to be able to do something, and you don't want to just be standing there and calling for assistance, because sometimes those seconds count. And to be able to save a life is priceless. You can't put a price tag on being able to save a life. A lot of these people, they overdose on prescription pills, or sometimes they're heroin overdoses. But we want to be able to provide them with an opportunity to be productive citizens, and in hopes that we can provide them with some resources, with some treatment, with some education. And so that's why we're out here to give some of our citizens a second chance.
There's been a pretty fair amount of success in other jurisdictions. Was it kind of a wait-and-see approach up till now before you rolled it out?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that we had been thinking about rolling it out, and there were some steps that we had to take as a department of this size. There were some challenges that we had to, some steps that we had to take before we could just roll it out, because I mean, we are 2,000 strong, so to be able to roll out something like this, even in one of our zones, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of preparation and planning, and it takes some time.
So where does heroin come from? Kind of didn't say it disappeared for a while, but it wasn't real popular for a while. What's the difference? Do you know? Or?
I think that with the abuse of prescription pills, that high that some of the people attain, it gets very expensive, and so a similar high would come from that heroin. And I think that a lot of times our research has shown that our people that start out abusing prescription pills move over and graduate to heroin. And so a lot of our deaths that we've been seeing lately have had traces of fentanyl in it as well, which is a very powerful opiate. And so we want to make sure that we're getting the information out there. The officers are trained to identify the signs of opiate abuse. They're trained to identify when people overdose, and they're trained to act right then.
Can you tell them how it works?
We had an option to choose between the needle or the nasal, and we chose the nasal. This is going to be what the drug looks like, and this is Narcan. And so the officers just open up the package, and we have this nasal injector that you take this piece out, and you'll screw it on. This. So the officer would open up the package, take it out, and here's the medicine, and here's the vial.
Rick's going to volunteer to take it, yes.
And so once it's set up together, it's a pretty quick process. And like I said, the officers have been trained. And so once you put the three pieces together, you just squeeze and take one in each nostril.
We believe it.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And it's side effects if you're not.
Oh, yeah. And so with the Narcan, there are actually no side effects. If the there we go. If the patient has not, say he's just, it was not an opiate, this is harmless. If they have overdose on any kind of opiate, then it will work. Usually, you'll see the effects in 1 to 3 minutes, and they last for an hour to an hour and a half. So once the person is treated, Grady EMS will take them to the hospital so they can obtain additional care.
Just for a second.
How does an officer determine whether it's an opiate overdose or not?
Well, when they respond to the location, the first thing that they want to do is kind of ask around and see if anybody observed this person, if this person said anything about the any kind of opiate overdose, and then they would kind of make that determination. But like I said before, if they attempt to treat a person that it was not an opiate overdose, it's not going to harm anything. But if it is, like I said, we will reverse that overdose, and then we'll be able to take that person to receive additional treatment.
Has the Georgia passed a Good Samaritan law last year, and has this sort of, are you sort of rolling this out? Does this have anything to do with it?
That was a huge part of what we were doing. The Good Samaritan law was passed in April, and so we was able to start this project right on the heels of that. And so that was a huge part of what we needed in place so that we could make this happen.
All right.
Good?
Anything else you'd like to add that we didn't ask?
Yes.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.